The storm outside had forced dozens of flights to a halt, and the airport, usually alive with eager footsteps, felt like a place where time itself was holding its breath. Under the vast glass windows, rain pounded like restless fingers, blurring the world beyond. Amid the stranded travelers, one man sat completely still, shoulders tense, eyes fixed on nothing. His name was Adrian Hale, a CEO known for building empires, commanding boardrooms, and making impossible decisions look effortless. But today, sitting alone in a black suit that somehow made the loneliness around him feel heavier, he looked less like a man of power and more like someone drifting without direction. No one knew that mere hours earlier, he had stood before the graves of the only two people who had ever loved him without conditions, his parents. He had buried them both on the same day, victims of a tragic accident, and now he felt as if the world had swallowed every anchor he once had. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of unexpected connections, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from today? As the terminal hummed with muted conversations and rolling suitcases, a small figure in a mustard yellow coat wandered into Adrian's line of vision. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old, with curious blue eyes and a knitted hat shaped like a cat. Her tiny backpack bounced with each step as she walked straight toward him, pausing just inches from his polished shoes. For a brief moment, Adrian didn't even notice. He had become so used to people keeping their distance that the presence of someone so small and fearless felt unreal. When he finally looked up, the little girl was studying him with the kind of innocent seriousness only children possess, as though she could see something behind his expression that others never bothered to look for. And then, in a soft voice that cut through the noise around them, she asked, "Are you lost too, mister?" Her question hit him harder than he expected. It was not just the words, it was the sincerity behind them. She wasn't asking about directions. She wasn't pointing to a gate number or a boarding pass. Somehow, without knowing anything about him, she had spoken to the part of him he had spent years burying under work and responsibilities. Adrian's throat tightened, and for a moment he couldn't speak. He felt the weight of grief pressing against his chest, and in that moment, this tiny stranger had unknowingly cracked open a door he had kept locked since childhood. A few feet away, Marina Alden, the little girl's mother, rushed forward with her suitcase, her face flushed with worry. She apologized quickly, assuming her daughter had disturbed a busy executive. But to her surprise, Adrian shook his head gently. He didn't tell her what her daughter had truly asked. He simply said it was fine, though inside he felt something shifting, something he hadn't felt in years. The little girl, whose name Marina later mentioned was Hazel, continued to stand beside him as though his presence comforted her as much as hers comforted him. As the delay extended, Marina and Hazel settled a few seats away, but Hazel kept glancing back at him, offering him small, warm smiles whenever their eyes met. The hours dragged on, and the storm only grew worse. As Marina struggled with a crying Hazel who was exhausted, hungry, and overwhelmed, Adrian found himself rising from his seat and offering help before he could talk himself out of it. He bought Hazel a small stuffed airplane from a nearby shop and brought Marina a cup of chamomile tea that he hoped would ease her stress. Marina looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and confusion. This was not the behavior she expected from a man who carried himself like someone untouchable. She thanked him quietly, but what surprised her most was the softness in his eyes, a softness that didn't match the sharp suit or powerful demeanor. When Hazel finally fell asleep on her mother's lap, Marina and Adrian talked. She learned that he had no family left, that work had replaced human connection for him long ago, and that today's grief had left him feeling hollow in a way he didn't know how to describe. He didn't go into details, but he didn't need to. Marina could see the weight he carried. In return, Adrian learned that Marina was a single mother working 2 jobs, trying to give Hazel a life filled with warmth despite how hard things often were. She told him it hadn't been easy, but Hazel's smile made every struggle worth it. Listening to her, Adrian realized how long it had been since he had spoken honestly to anyone without calculating his words. As more hours passed, Hazel woke up again and toddled straight to Adrian, climbing onto the seat beside him without hesitation. She showed him her stuffed airplane, giggled when he pretended it could fly, and leaned her head lightly against his arm as if she had known him for years. Adrian felt something inside him thaw, a quiet, unfamiliar warmth spreading through a heart he thought was permanently frozen. For the first time since his parents' accident, he didn't feel entirely alone. Marina watched them and felt a strange mix of wonder and unease. This powerful man, who likely spent more money in a week than she did in a year, looked utterly transformed by her daughter's presence. When the announcement finally came that flights were cancelled for the night, chaos erupted. People scrambled for hotel vouchers and rebooking lines. Marina panicked because she couldn't afford a last-minute hotel and didn't know how she would keep Hazel warm and safe in the crowded terminal overnight. Seeing her distress, Adrian stepped forward and gently insisted they take the extra room he had already booked. Marina resisted at first, pride tugging at her. But when she looked at Hazel, shivering and clinging to her stuffed toy, she accepted, though her voice trembled with embarrassment and gratitude. That night at the airport hotel, after ensuring Marina and Hazel were settled safely, Adrian returned to his room. But sleep refused to come. Hazel's question echoed in his mind, "Are you lost too, mister?" He realized the answer was yes, and he had been lost long before today. He thought he had filled the emptiness with success, with money, with achievements. But none of it had given him what Hazel had unknowingly offered him in a single moment, human connection. Something his heart had been starving for. If this story is touching your heart so far, please consider supporting Kindness Corner with a like, share, comment, and subscription. It helps us continue sharing powerful stories that inspire hope. The next morning, when their new flights were confirmed, Hazel ran to Adrian and wrapped her tiny arms around him. Marina watched, stunned, as Adrian knelt and hugged her back with a tenderness that didn't match his strong, corporate image. Marina thanked him once more, but before she could step away, Adrian surprised her. He said that meeting them had changed something in him, that he wanted to live differently, and that Hazel had reminded him of something he thought he had lost forever, his own humanity. Marina felt a lump rise in her throat. She didn't know what to say, only that she believed him. Just before they parted ways at the gate, please comment below, what do you think Hazel saw in Adrian that no one else did? As their flights boarded and their paths diverged, Adrian felt a renewed sense of purpose, subtle, fragile, but real. Hazel had handed him something priceless, a reason to believe that no matter how lost someone felt, a single moment of kindness could guide them back to themselves. And as he walked toward his gate, he whispered the answer he had been too afraid to give her the first time. "Yes, Hazel. I was lost. But because of you, not anymore." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories to people around the world.